Ever had the experience of trying to find a contractor or a service, maybe getting blinds put in the house? How do you know who's trustworthy and who isn't? There's a new service starting shortly in Regina, which is going to try and help in that situation. Trustedregina.com is the website, and it's already been going for quite a while in Saskatoon. It's the brainchild of a lady named Sara Wheelwright, who's with me. How are you?
I'm very well. Thank you very much for inviting me on the show.
Right. This goes back to, what, about 2008, something like that?
2006.
2006?
I moved over from, not Canadian, you'd probably guessed by now. I moved
Newcastle
over.
on Tyne?
Indeed, yes,
Yeah.
from the UK, from the old country. And moved to Regina initially. This is where my previous partner, ex, came from. And then we moved to Saskatoon and didn't come with anything but the important things. Our son, clothes, shoes. More shoes, you know, and we literally had to start from scratch. Been to visit a few times before as a tourist, I guess, and it's very different coming as a tourist than it is coming as a resident. Lots of things were new to me, and it came down to me to kind of sort things out. And the excitement of going shopping quickly went off when I realized that it's really tricky when you don't know where to go, and having to buy everything from knives, forks and spoons to beds to blinds, as you say. The neighbours didn't want to see us walking around with no blinds or curtains. Was a struggle. Asked around, word of mouth sometimes was good, sometimes not. Did a lot of Googling, looked through yellow pages and really randomly guessed. Sometimes got it right, sometimes got it wrong. And kind of years later, I realised that it's the smaller companies, it's those locally accountable businesses. They're the ones that really offer the best levels of service, a lot of the time the best value, and I didn't know about them. They couldn't compete with the big box companies kind of shouting loud and grabbing my attention. I was running off to those stores thinking that's all that was on offer. And it just occurred to me that there was something lacking with standards. And then a few years later, I became a single mom of 3 small children, and I got burned, shall we say, ripped off by a plumbing outfit. And it really kind of, made me feel taken advantage of. And
Not an unfamiliar story.
No. And as you ask around, actually, and that's what I started doing, and it's not just the newcomers, although there's plenty of those. I mean, 28,000 people came since 2010 from overseas, and lots from other parts of Canada that have no local knowledge. It's actually people right here too. Now, it doesn't have to just be a service. I mean, it can be the plumber, the contractor, your typical ones, but it can be just as much in a furniture store or anything else.
So what do you do? Trusted.com. How does it work?
So TrustedRegina.com, what we do is we find trusted local businesses in 40 categories, covering from air conditioning and furnace down to window coverings, windows and doors. And in those categories, we offer 3 maximum, basically trusted businesses. And when we say trusted, it's not just a word that we throw out there. Like, it really means something. We find these businesses, we take them through an application process. We check references. They have to provide 25 client references, and we call those clients, we survey them, we ask them questions, how they found about these businesses, what they did, would they recommend them to their friends and family, were there any issues, how would they rate them between 0 and 10, on the scale from bad to good. And
in this process, have you turned up many bad apples already?
We've turned down a few businesses now. I mean, because of the fact that we go via recommendations, nominations, we generally put people forward. And people that go through the application process generally, once they realize that it's not cash for endorsement and we really do mean what we say, then, companies might not proceed, if they weren't the right fit for us. Because we're not looking for just average. Good service is...
Sounds pretty rigorous.
It is. Beyond the survey, we also check their licensing, we check their insurance, we check them out thoroughly. And then also on top of that, every year they have to requalify. Things can change a lot in a year. And we mystery shop a portion of them as well, just to ensure that they weren't just doing a good job when we were watching, but we make sure that they do a good job all the time. And we randomly drop in. So.
Now, you've been operating in Saskatoon for, what, a couple of years now?
No, just since business was registered in January last year. We launched to the public on May 30th.
Okay.
It's been a great success. We were just recently nominated for multiple SaveX awards, marketing being one of them. And we do charge a fee for the businesses services featured on the site. And
It
that's
is a
because
business, yes.
it's a business,
Yes.
yes. But the majority of that is basically put back into the marketing. You can have the best website in the world, but if nobody's heard about it, what's the point? So really, you will be seeing us and hearing us everywhere when we launch, because we work for the consumer, and the consumer has to know about us to actually be able to use the service.
Interesting, Sarah, we do a lot about sort of the evolution of marketing on this show. I have a digital guy who basically says conventional advertising is virtually dead. It's social media where it's going to happen. And things like Yellow Pages are rapidly disappearing, aren't they?
They are. Can Pages in Calgary actually recently closed their doors. Now, a lot of the cities in the country and in the States, it's an opt-in if you want them, instead of, if you want the Yellow Pages, you've got to call and ask for it now. And it just comes down to the environmental impact, the fact that we're all digital. We're all online. Why would you stop doing what you're doing and then go and pick up a directory? And some people still do. It's not dead yet. Yeah. But I think it's very, very smart to think about how things are moving forward. Utilizing social media, which we do a lot. We engage our people. We work for them, so we want to know their opinions. We want to kind of solicit some information from them. We want to engage them. We want to tell them, what we do, so they become our fans. And the good businesses that we promote, they then get recognition, and they deserve that, because they're doing a really good job. Like the businesses we have on, truly go above and beyond on a regular basis.
What's the range of business? How many different kinds of
we have 40 categories.
40
so
categories?
We have things, like air conditioning and furnace. We have furniture stores. We have insurance companies. When was the last time you checked to see if you were, getting the best insurance rate? I mean, I did recently, and I was flabbergasted at the change that I saw. And some people just keep on renewing what they're doing instead of checking in and just kind of just seeing what's out there. Mike Holmes recently was talking about what you should do when you look for a contractor, and one of those things is to ask around, get references, but we're also busy, so we do that for people. We do all of the legwork and more.
Very labor intensive,
It's very labor intensive, yes. We also engage our trusted partners, which is what they are, and they actually provide tips and information and resources. So if you are planning on, say, a kitchen renovation, you're not quite sure yet that you're ready to buy, if you go to the website or just put in Trusted Tips Regina, or go to our blog library and look in the category, we have tips from our trusted partners about, ideas. What to do. So we're more than just a directory, and we're there kind of, working for the people, working for these businesses, and really trying to raise the standards across the board, because, we deserve it. And as the city grows and as more people come, it's going to be trickier and trickier. So we hope that we've provided the solution for people.
Yeah. Interesting. I would never have heard about this story except for finding you on LinkedIn, which is a site that didn't exist 5 years ago.
This is true, yes.
We're really changing, aren't we?
We are, and you know what? We're not going to go back to the old ways. You tell me a kid under 20 that's ever used the Yellow Pages. I mean, it just doesn't happen.
What about the folks over 60 like me, though?
Silver surfers are the number one
Are
growing demographic online. So absolutely. My mum and dad, they're back in England. We Skype on a regular basis. My dad's getting quite savvy on Facebook now, actually. And we get quite a lot of interaction, and you think about it when you're retired. I mean, you've got a little bit more time in your hands. As working people, we find that a lot of people are online during the workday. But on a weekend now, people are taking advantage of that. And the older generation has to, and TV's soon going to have the internet on as well. So get used to it.
Trustedregina.com. When is it going to be sort of fully functional?
We have a website live now. We have about 50 businesses already kind of signed up and on board and going through that process, which is not straightforward, as we told you. I would like to think in the next 4 to 6 weeks that we'll be kind of going live to the public and launching. But you still can go now. And actually, if you do know businesses in the local market that you believe deserve recognition, deserve promotion, that would adhere to the principles that we ask for, then please do nominate them. And if you do so, you might win $1,000 cash. We'll have a draw on the launch date, and just make sure you put your details on so we know who you are. And tell us why. Tell us what makes them stand out to you.
What a fabulous idea.
Thank you very much.
Gosh. So Saskatoon, Regina, and then where?
World domination city by city. We're going to spread the philosophy, across the nation. We've locked down the domain names. Calgary is next, and then off we go.
All right. Well, great to have you here.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Sara Wheelwright, trustedregina.com. Look for it. And International Women's Day coming